Hello friends, welcome back to Laravel 11 tutorial. So last day we discussed about how to install and how to run the Laravel application. So while we install, actually we are getting the lots of files and folders. We are installed the first project, so we configured, and by default we are getting the app, bootstrap, configure. There are lots of files and folders. I just opened that application into our Visual Studio Code. So let's introduce the purpose of that folders and files. Okay, so if you check in the from the top, okay, so here you can see the app folder. Okay, so what is actually the app folder? So this is the core part of your application. Means if you going to create any web application, then 80% of code you need to run inside here. Okay, so not 80%, we need to use about 60% of your code into here. Okay, so there mainly logical part and other things is present. So inside the app you will get the HTTP models and providers. Laravel follows MVC pattern. MVC means models, view and controllers. Okay, so when a user requests anything from the web browser or through the API, so the first in the MVC structure it will hit to the controller. Controller decide whether it will go into the model or view anything. Okay, so first thing is inside the app you will get HTTP and you will get controller. Okay, so controller first receive the request from the MVC. Okay, then if anything's needed from the database or database related purpose, we need to use the models. Okay, so these are the models folder. And another thing, the view part means what actually the user getting. Means here you can see you are getting these things, these outputs. The output is coming from the view part. So the view is present inside the resource, inside the views. Okay, so these are the main three folders. Note it down, these are the main three folders. So if you are beginner, then you need to learn at least these three folders to create any application. After that you will learn step by step. Okay, so first thing is controller, then model and view. Okay, so this is the MVC pattern. Okay, then there are lots of things into the Laravel application. So what are those? So first you can understand inside the app HTTP there will get the controller. So the controller is basically a class, and these are the abstract class. And if you just go into the model, in there is user model, so this also a class, and these are extending authentication and some things. So we'll understand when we just go in deep in the coding part. Okay, so first let's introduce where we will find and where to write the code. And there is provider. So provider is the app service provider. By default Laravel is giving this providing the app service provider. Okay, so there are some purpose for app service provider. We will learn step by step, so when we go in deep. And the next thing is there is the configuration section, there is bootstrap section. Actually, this directory contains app.php file which bootstrap the framework. So Laravel is the PHP framework. This directory also houses a caches directory. Okay, so you can see the caches, and there are some files. Okay, so caches directory which contains framework generated files for performance optimization, you can say the route and service cache files. Okay, and the next thing is the database or the config. Okay, so inside the config we will get the lots of configuration things like app.php or the cache database. So if you check the app.php, so there are some configuration things. Means there is a configuration file, and you can set the application name. The app name is Laravel. This is the name, this is the variable name. Inside the name variable we are storing this app name, and here we can say the app environment is production, and debug is app debug is false. Okay, so these are the actually settings we need throughout the application. And for application configuration we need to use these things. Okay, so there are lots of things: URL, time zone, locally, fallback locals, fecal locally. So there are lots of things. Maybe you can find some difficulty, or first time you are learning this type of things. Okay, so no problem, I will discuss later. Okay, and the next thing is the cache database. So all are the configuration which you need to run the application. Okay, and the next thing is you can say the database. Okay, so inside the database, all the database related things are present, like factories, migrations, seeder. So there are migrations. So in Laravel we don't need to run the table, or don't need to create or alter, modify, whatever. We don't need to do manually. We don't need to go into the MySQL and just create a table. So we can run all the things from here. And to configuration database, we have a .env. This is the environment folder. So here you can set the database connection, and after the connection you can do migration. Okay, so by default here the DB connection providing is SQLite. So there is a configuration for database configuration file. So you can check the default connection is SQLite. By the way, there is many things, that is SQLite, MySQL, MariaDB, or PGSQL, SQL Server. There are lots of connection already present. So if you want to use any of that things, so you can use from here. Okay, so these are the things. Next, you can see the factories, seeders. So there are also related to the database. We will discuss about that things with a separate video. And the most important thing is a resource. So inside the resource, get the CSS, JS, views, whatever you will need, and whatever actually will get from the front end. So if you just go here and let's inspect this, and you can see, so there are some things like style, or some, there is the external style sheet, no problem. But if you want to add some style, or if you want to create your custom JS file, so you can create and put here, so that you can use this. So there is app.css. Okay, and also there is a JS, app.js, there is a bootstrap.js. So all the things are present which are actually getting publicly. And here you can see the views. These are welcome.blade.php. Laravel by default providing that things. Actually this welcome.blade.php is the blade file, or you can see the view file, so which actually we are getting here. Okay, so if you check from welcome.blade.php, we will get all the things. Okay, so these are the Laravel and all the things. Okay, so we are getting. So we'll discuss about the view in a separate videos. Okay, so all of the vast things, and we need to create separate video, and we need to discuss in detail, because in a single video it's not possible to discuss all the purpose of the each and every file. Okay, another thing is a routing concept. So in a MVC framework, we said just we have the controller models views, but in Laravel we have a route controlling system. Means first when we request anything, we'll get the request from the routes. Okay, so the routes have a many purpose, and briefly I am saying that the first, before the controller will get the request, we can accept the request from the web.php or the routes. Okay, there may have different routes. There is console.php, web.php. So these are the different routes for different purpose. And also there is a channel route and API routes. If you want to install, you can install that routes. So by default Laravel not provide that things, but if you need to use the API, we can install that things. Okay, so that's the reason Laravel is very flexible. So whatever we need, we will get. And another thing is Laravel provides those file only which basic needs. Okay, means basic for to start the basic web application, whatever you need, Laravel provides. Okay, so that's the reason it's not getting much things which are not using. So this is the reason it's lightweight and it's faster. Okay, so the purpose of console.php is basically for command line use, and for beginner level you don't need to think about that things. So as if you are experienced, we'll discuss about that things for route tutorial. So mainly we need a web.php for basic web application. So whatever we're getting, that is the slash view welcome. So actually this is the path. Actually slash means the root path. So if you change that things, so it will change actually. So I just write home, it will not return anything. So it directly through the 404 page, means page not found. So the site cannot be reached as the server is not running. So to run server you need to use php artisan serve and it will running. So simply refresh. So actually this will not found because I changed the route name. So if you just go to the home and simply write home, then you will get the home page. Okay, so just I change the path. Okay, so this is the things where you can publish or you can set permission that whatever that whether it's going to valid URL or not. Okay, so there are lots of things in web.php. We will discuss about that things later. And the next folder is storage. So storage directory contains the logs and the compiled blade templates, file based sessions, file caches, and the files generated by the framework. Actually this directory is suggested into the app, framework, and logs. Okay, so the app directory may be used to store any files generated by your application, and the framework is used to store framework generated files and caches. Okay, and logs is basically contain your application logs files. Okay, so these are the things actually in the storage directory. And there is a test directory. So test directory contains your automatic testing things, like if you just run any unit testing, or sometimes if you need after manual test, if you want to test automated, then you can use that things. Okay, and finally this is the vendor file. So vendor directory actually the thing which when we just install anything, if you just check the composer.json, so you will get the full structure of your application, that is the name, type, description, and the license and some keywords. There is required equal. So what are the things actually in the last video when we install that things, there are lots of things installed into our application. So what actually installed, all the package paths or library paths are stored in the composer.json, and actually these are present in the vendor directory. Okay, and this is the things that require dev, there is outloading. So composer.json is responsible to get the project structure and what are the things you need to run this application, you will get from here. Also there is, you can define the auto load. So auto load means when you run any application, sometimes any script you need before loading or when loading your application, that time you can set any files in auto load section. Okay, so these are the composer.json, and all the package actually stored in the vendor file. So don't do any code into the vendor files, or don't delete or don't update any folders also. Actually if you delete the vendor file also, there is no problem, we can generate the vendor files from the composer.json. But composer.json is the core part of your application. So if you lost the composer.json, that means you can say you lost your application. So this is the most important file. Okay, so from that file you can understand what are the projects and what are the packages are using also their versions. Okay, and if you check composer log file, so inside the composer log file you will get the same type of things, means you are getting the path and all the things. So what are those things? Actually sometimes if you install some packages, then this package may need some another package, means there is another dependency. So all the things are present in the detail into the composer.log file. So don't write anything in composer.log file, and don't do anything in the vendor file. Okay. And another section, there is a package.json for packaging, and there is a phpunit.xml, and there is the byte configuration file. So we'll know about that things step by step. Okay, so up to this I think you can understand the basic structure of your Laravel application. So from the next step we are going to discuss about the configuration part, then step by step we will learn about in detail controller models, views, routes, and lots of topics. There may have 70 to 80 videos about Laravel, and I think it will be 15 to 18 hours of total tutorial. Okay, so please subscribe this channel for upcoming video and stay with me. Thanks for watching this video. Have a good day. Bye.